Police command in Lagos State has confirmed the death of a 17-year-old boy who was electrocuted while working with his stepfather at a building construction site. The public relations officer of the command, SP Benjamin Hundeyin, confirmed this to newsmen. Hundeyin says that the boy's mother, whose name was not given, reported the case to the Agbado Police Division on August 2nd at 1 p.m. He said the woman reported that about 12:30 p.m. on the same day, she received a phone call from her younger brother about the incident. And according to the woman, her brother said that her son followed her husband, that's his stepfather, a welder by profession, to build a scaffolding in a building under construction at the Church Street at Lagbado. Hundeyin said that in the process of the work, the boy stepped on live wire that was carelessly connected from an electric pole, and he died on the spot. He was rushed to the hospital and was confirmed dead by the doctor on duty. The scene was visited by a team of detectives from the division, and reports have it that the corpse has been removed from the scene. However, no remark of violence was seen, and no mark of violence was seen, and stepfather has been brought to the station for questioning. This is a very, very sad event. This is a very, very sad story, to think that this could have been avoided. When you see things like this and then you remember that it could have been avoided. Now let's talk about a carelessness sometimes that we exhibit, especially at work sites. Not just work sites, as Nigerians, everywhere we find ourselves. Some careless actions you see, even while you move past the roadside, you see some careless actions and you're like, I don't know if it's a belief of nothing will happen. It's not the first time we're doing it. What do you think?
I'll go back to the home, because that's a young boy. A young boy's life has just been cut off.
Sure.
This is preventable. This is avoidable. This should not have happened, but it has happened. So we need to learn from it. And that reminds me of fatherhood. The young boy was taken to work, and safety rules was not followed. He was exposed to unnecessary hazard, and he lost his life. He was electrified or electrocuted. He lost his life. Now, what was the man thinking when he was carrying the young boy to the work sites? Fatherhood. To be a man, as we have heard so many times, many people say, be a man, be a man. To be a man is not simple. It's not so much about how much muscle you have. To be a man is a responsibility. To be a man, or fatherhood, let's take a step further. Fatherhood is a responsibility. And to call yourself a father, you have a lot to do. You can make, you can mar. You can build, you can destroy. You can fix, you can scatter. So you don't take careless actions with the life of a child. You are the chief protector of that child. You are responsible for that child. You are there to make sure that you defend the child. You lead the child on the right path. You are not to lead the child to a workplace where the safety rules were not followed and the child has lost his life. Now, to the macro level, many Nigerians are so careless when it comes to safety.
True.
They will tell you that nothing will happen. You too they fear, you too they fear. And yet people are dying. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. They think they kill African man. Don't worry about it. How
did we get there? How did we get to the point where we see something that's dangerous and yet we're ready to take the risk, even though it's not worth it?
That's from the quote I shared. When you are conditioned to negative situation, you will always produce negative results. Our people have been so conditioned to negativity and this carelessness, this there's a term, superstitious belief. Nothing is going to do. We manage things. Something is faulty. It could be an electrical fault, right? You are observing that there is an electrical fault, there's an appliance that is faulty. They will tell you, we're going to manage it. You keep managing the faulty equipment. You keep managing the faulty, especially something like electrical related some appliance, you are managing it. It could even be gas. It has killed a lot of people. The gas is leaking. There is a leakage. You observe that there is a leakage.
And you're managing it.
And when you strike your match, you see the way the thing is, and it's a very volatile substance. Yet, you are managing it.
Sometimes you walk into some houses or some workplaces and you see a naked wire, you know, and you're like, what is this about? They say, oh, don't worry, just don't go there. We know how we're handling it. Sometimes you enter into a vehicle, a public vehicle, and the driver is just, you know, managing the brake or managing something that should not be managed. It's a mindset thing. That's why I asked you how we got there, because it's not a thing that you would say, oh, it happens in only one state in Nigeria. You go to different states and you see that it cuts across the country. But reports have it that when some of us go to other countries, we act differently.
When you are sitting on a broken chair, or when you are managing an unpleasant situation, you're just waiting for the doomsday to arrive. It will arrive. You are toying, you are playing with an electrical appliance that is faulty. Look at our aviation industry. I've seen a video of a plane that had to, that there was an emergency landing. And then people have to they have to recruit some people to push the plane. In Nigeria, not outside Nigeria. There's an emergency landing. Now, if it's cut across all sectors of our economy. You see something is bad, they will manage it. They will tell you they want to manage it. We are not management experts of faulty things, right? That's the truth. We can't be management experts of faulty things.
Oh,
and that's
God.
why I keep saying that information and education is powerful because it enlightens you. It brings light to you. When something is wrong, fix it. Stop waiting for angels to come and fix it. Fix it because it's wrong. Stand up and fix it. Stop waiting until it gets so bad. That is something with health. You observe that you are sick. You just say, oh, it's just a common cold. You wait, oh, you're managing it. You are waiting for the doomsday. And it will arrive. It will take you unawares. You don't know the time, you don't know the day, it will arrive.
That's why when you hear that someone was hospitalized, you hear things like, oh, is it that serious? So people believe that you only go to the hospital when it is serious. So if you see the symptoms, you don't pay attention to it until it gets to the point that they have to like carry you to the hospital. It's not hospital worthy yet.
You know, my phone, I have had sometimes there will be emergency. You know, when you have a phone and then it shows you emergency, like no network. There are some people that the problem they are facing in life has not gotten to emergency yet. It's not showing them emergency. They want to wait until they are in an emergency situation. They have to be taken in a stretcher and rushed to the emergency ward before they realize that there's a problem. And that's the state of our country that we're faced with. We are in an emergency situation. And we got to this situation because for too long we ignored the problems. For too long we remained silent when things were collapsing. When things fall apart. Things fell apart. And we saw that there was cracks. We saw the cracks. We ignored it. So the question you asked is very important. You said, how did we get to this point? How did we get to this point when we have been conditioned to managing bad situations, that we are gradually becoming bad situational experts? We have become expatriates in bad situations. We manage too much. We have, it's a mental problem. It's a psychological thing. It's something that is encapsulated in our culture that we need to detach. We need to pull it out from the roots. It has affected every aspect of our system, our thinking, our attitude, our approach. And we need to take it to the home. We need to teach ourselves first, then teach our children that, son, daughter, if something is wrong, say it, say something. Fix it. Don't wait until it gets bad. Mom, I observed that the plate is broken. Do something about it. Don't leave it there. Mom, I observe that something is faulty. Do something about it. That's leadership. Teach it to your children at home. Learn it yourself. Don't wait until things collapse. In relationships too. You can really see it applied everywhere.
Everywhere.
Like in a relationship you are with someone and then you discover that the person is showing you some kind of attitude. Maybe the person is coming home late every day. And you just like, maybe you are the wife and you're like, your husband doesn't come late home. Now he's coming late. And you'll be like, man in B, let me just leave him. He's just a man. He's just one of those men. One day he's not going to come home late. You're not going to see him at all. Because you are managing the wrong situation. And it will give you the wrong answer.
You know, it goes down to every single aspect of our life.
Every aspect of life.
Down to having a faulty footwear and you're managing it. Until the day it embarrasses you on the road. we just wait till it gets to the point of no return. And that's when we'll want to do something about it. But talking about how to handle it now, you talked about taking it back to the home. Sometimes people like to talk about money. You know, we like to link a lot of things that happens with us down to not having enough money in Nigeria. Okay, let's look at the healthcare now. I used to host a health program, and I remember a lot of times when we talk about handling, first aid and handling these health conditions as fast as possible. Immediately you notice something wrong. And then especially when it has to do with the eyes. When it has to do with the eyes, it just keeps progressing. And a lot of experts have said that you can't really take the eye back to the way it was when you came. So you have to just start some of those conditions. You have to start managing it from the point that it already is. So when we had a lot of, callers, Nigerians calling in and all of that, they'll tell you, oh, there's no money. Some of these eye clinics are very expensive. And then you hear these doctors ask questions like, if it is very expensive at this point, are you aware that when it gets really, really, really bad, it will be more expensive? But then the same person who said they didn't have the money to handle it at that initial stage, money will come out from everywhere when it gets really bad and when their lives are at stake.
It costs less to prevent a crisis. It costs less. But it costs more to try to solve that crisis. It costs less to prevent some sickness, some disease, some ailments. That's why they said prevention is better than cure. Now, as it relates to health and well-being, I read many years ago the definition of health from a textbook I had then on health. And I captured that definition, that health is not just the absence of diseases, it's complete wholeness,
yes.
Mentally,
yes.
All aspects of your life. So because you don't have malaria and cold doesn't mean you're healthy. You might have other issues. So there is still poor information out there that people think or feel or imagine or believe that until it's really, really bad, they don't really pay attention to it. So,
is it a matter of us not being well informed?
Yeah, information is important.
Is it lack of information? Do we not know? Is it a lack of information?
Yes, information is one of it. Apart from information, acting on the information. And then cultural influences, as well as some kind of misconceived perceptions and beliefs that people have developed over time. For example, they think they kill African man. There are so many people that believe that to the latter. You will see the man dip his hand in depth and he's putting food. I said, you've not washed your hands. Say, hi, to the do Yibo. To the do Yibo.
It looks like you have really encountered these people.
because
every single slang, every single word you've used sounds really, really familiar.
I used to be in a state of ignorance, but I'm enlightened now. That's why I'm sharing the enlightenment.
Yes.
They tell you that. Now, imagine a child that is sitting down there while the man is saying, they kill African man. That's a message he's passing to that child. He is forming and he's trying to form and He's trying to build something into that child's mindset. So that child is hearing his dad say, "Detine they kill African man." The child will take a lot of things for granted. And now he's growing up with the belief, because a system is being formed subconsciously in him, that, see, Detine they kill African man. So with that kind of mentality, he grows up taking things for granted, and anytime he sees death, he can throw a dirty orange or a dirty apple, he can throw it in his mouth, and he will tell you, what's it? Detine they kill African man. So see, the words we speak, the words we say, and how we shape and influence our children, because the children of today, they are the leaders of tomorrow. We always say that. But whether they become leaders or not, they are the men and women of tomorrow. Now, my lecturer do tell us back then in class that the young boys of today are the old men of tomorrow. But not every young boy today will become an old man tomorrow. So the young girls of today are the old women tomorrow. So what kind of information are we passing out to shape the next generation of leaders? So some of these cultural practices and beliefs that have stalled our development, that has made us to become people that are lackadaisical and complacent with our health and well-being, we need to correct these abnormalities.
All of these things need to be corrected in every aspect and in every sector, down to workplace. When you're at work, the safety measures that you should take should be taken. Sometimes we even hear cases that some of these workers are given some of these safety equipment, but they don't use it. We've heard of some places, like some industries, where they say when you're done with work, you have to take this milk, this bottle of milk, you have to take it. Some people will keep it to sell or to take back home or something.
That's a product of the mindset that we're talking about. It all falls and lies on the kind of mindset.
Yes.
They've been formed. There's a formation process that has taken place over time. You see, some people even in the workplace, they will be given, I did a training on health, safety, and environment.
Okay.
In the workplace, some people will be given helmet, protective gears, to protect their head or something. They will feel like, this thing,
it's heavy, or it's inconveniencing.
So they'll be looking out for the supervisor. If the supervisor, once the supervisor steps out, they pull off the helmet. They think they are doing the supervisor. They don't know they're doing themselves. They are exposing themselves to risk. You just read a report of a young boy who was electrocuted due to failure at the workplace. Workplace failure to uphold safety standard. This is safety. It's to save your life. It's to protect your life.
I think more